What is up, guys? How's it going? I don't normally stream on Mondays, but I thought I don't know, I thought be a good time to do some Worldpainter stuff. There's a lot left to do, guys. So we're gonna do some work on that, and I figure if I'm gonna work on Worldpainter Minecraft stuff, I might as well do some streaming while I'm at it, right? So you guys can hang out with us. But how's it going? Mad Attack Master. I like it. Good name. Forgive me if it's oh my goodness. If you're someone that I already know, I am not great with names. So forgive my lack of acknowledgement in that instance. But Finn's here too. What's up, Finn? And Spoopy. I like it. How's it going, guys? I guess I should probably turn on like the Worldpainter thing. So if we do this, and then I think, you know what? I think I can add like the chat box to this one too. Let me do that really quick. I think we'll put it over maybe down in this corner, because I feel like this corner is like not using it for much. And then yeah, I think that's probably all we need, just so that people can see the chats. Oh, no worries. I'm somewhat new to Twitch as well, so let me see if I can make this opaque. I don't know if that's possible. I have no idea how any of this stuff works. Let's see. I thought there was a way. Yeah, I can make the background color, and then I can say what's the background color? Huh. Oh, I feel that. I've only been doing this for a couple months now, so there's a lot to figure out. Background. I have no idea how to make the background not opaque, so or not transparent. So I guess hopefully it'll be readable. I don't really know. Yeah, let's get into it. Do a little bit of Worldpainter stuff. So this is what we're working on right now. Is a fairly large map, and by fairly large I mean we're talking 50k by 50k. So it's significantly large, I would say. So far we've been working mostly in this little corner of the world. To be honest, I'm streaming on both platforms simultaneously right now, through the magic of Streamlabs. I don't know. I think that YouTube is a good platform for like sustained growth. Like if you you know, if you have the time to put in to throw out occasional videos and stuff like that. I think Twitch is better if you're just going to be streaming, because Twitch is just a lot cleaner, I feel like, when it comes to streaming stuff. But YouTube has its, you know, I like YouTube too. With YouTube, it's nice because everything gets saved in one place so that people can view it later if they want to. But yeah, this is kind of the map we've been working on recently. It's you can see there are parts of it that are still green where I haven't painted the mountain parts yet. So we'll maybe mess around with that a little bit. This area right here is really flat and kind of random with these little doohickey majiggers. Because that's actually where we're gonna put. I have a city that I've been working on that we're going to end up copy pasting into this. That's the plan anyway. I have no idea how well that's gonna go, but we'll give it our best shot. Now it's gonna auto save, even though I've made literally 0 changes to the map. Wonderful Worldpainter, wonderful. But yeah, I just hit 500 like yesterday or the day before. It was very exciting. I'm very, very appreciative of that. That is super cool. Hopefully we'll be able to earn it. Hopefully, I'll continue to be able to make quality content that people think is worth checking out. That's the plan. But we have to wait for the autosave before we can do anything with this. Kind of silly, but it is what it is. But anyway, I don't think we're gonna spend too much time over in this little corner of the world, because I think that for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the mountains around here. We can take a look at a 3D view after this thing finishes doing its doohickey majigger. But for the most part, the mountains they've got a nice shape to them for the most part. There's a few areas that are a little bit rough, but I think ultimately it's going to be the case that we come back in later and we just, we clean up the rough edges by hand. This was always intended to be a project that was, pretty 50-50 split between doing things by hand and doing things within the confines of Worldpainter. So, we're gonna find the middle ground. Let me show you what some of this stuff looks like. The 3D view really messes with my with my computer's ability to function, so we won't look at it for too long. But you see, these mountains are pretty good. This is like really aggressive music. I don't know how I feel about this. Let me find something a little bit more chill. Yeah, these mountains, I feel like they look pretty good. There's a nice mixture of different heights and different things, and some of this is like weirdly white, and that's just because I've got some a drawing. They call it an annotation layer, I think. Yeah. Hey, so I like to give shout outs and interact with people. Can I give you a shout out? Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, I don't know. I would assume that your channels are the same as your name. I'll give them a look and take a peek. I'd love to see. I don't know. I like seeing what other people are doing. It's always interesting. All sorts of different people doing all sorts of different things. But absolutely. I think that's my favorite part about doing this whole streaming thing so far. It's just there's a lot of community involvement. There's a lot of people. I'm meeting so many new, interesting people who do all sorts of really cool, interesting things, and it's been a really positive experience overall, I think. Anyway, let's turn off that overlay for a second. So, and the annotations are back. I don't know why they do that. So I was thinking that today we do a little bit of work over here. So we have to zoom out a little bit to be able to see any of this. So what we have, it's hard to see from this view. But basically, let me also put on a brush so that it does that. So that you can see my cursor a little bit better. Hopefully you guys can see this little circle moving around. So the idea is that this right here is a mountain range that goes all the way around. It's a really big mountain range. If you look, this is what we were working on before, so this area is much larger. But the plan is to have this area, this little circle of mountains, split up into two pieces. We have one piece down here at the bottom, that's sort of, down all the way down to the water line. That's sort of, pretty flat, right? It's down at ground level. And then once we get to this weird little curvy line here in the middle, this is going to be like a cliff face, I'm hoping. So if you look down here in the bottom corner of my screen, down in this area, you can see something, if you squint real hard, that says height 64 of 255. So that tells you that this part where my cursor is hovering is height 64, right? Which is just above water level. If we go up here, you can see this is height 90. So the idea being, I'd like this to be like a steep cliff that runs along this edge. Then this is, just some random mountains and stuff. But that defines, like this steep cliff, and I want to have like waterfalls and stuff coming over it all over the place. I think that would be really neat. One of the things I am noticing though is that I don't think this is going to be as tall as I think it is, because this is 6490. That's less than 30 blocks. That's not a lot. We're probably going to need to bring this 90 up to like at least like 110, 120 will seems likely. But what we will do, because I want to get an idea of this, is I'll probably actually drop my spawn somewhere over, maybe over here, and we'll load just this section in, and we'll just take a look at it in game, because that's going to tell me a lot about what I'm looking at, and what I still need to do. Oops, let's not select that. Alright, so there's my spawn area. I'm just gonna grab an area that looks kind of like this. It's kind of a lot. I think that'll be okay. That's a lot of tiles. Let's do a smaller area. Just the idea being that, let's see, I just want to get a little bit of this. I just want to get a little bit of this cliff edge in there so that I can really actually see what's going on, and whether this is gonna be tall enough or not tall enough. Let's do like that, and we'll call this cliffs. This is just gonna be kind of a throwaway thing, and it's creative, peaceful, super flat. Let's export that. While we're doing that, we'll try opening up an instance of Minecraft. There's a couple of weird little steps I have to go through to make this all work. Just because of the way the way things are set up on my computer, which is not an efficient thing. I'll tell you that much. So let's go .minecraft saves. Let's make sure that this is in here. I have to wait until it's done loading. Start up our Minecraft. It's kind of weird because Worldpainter draws a lot on my computer. It does not like my computer. My computer does not like it. And because of that, it's difficult for me to run both at the same time. So sometimes I resort to only running one or the other. Let's see if this will make that a little bit bigger so we can see what we're doing. Yeah, definitely. I'll take a look after the stream probably, right? Because it's kind of weird to do that stuff on stream, I feel like. But definitely I'll take a look. Alright. Let's get this cliff loaded in. We'll take a peek at it. I get the feeling it's going to be a lot less cliffy than I'm anticipating. Which is saying something, because my thoughts are low. Alright, well we're in the middle of nowhere. That's interesting. Okay, but that starts to slope upwards over there. Okay. We'll change the time. Yeah, this is not a cliff. That's just a hill. Okay, that's alright. We can work on it. The question, I guess, really just becomes, is 30 blocks enough to be a cliff? I don't really know. Maybe not. This seems like a very, very shallow shallow incline. I was expecting this to be a little bit pointier. So I think we'll probably have to raise that up. I think if we bring these lines, it's hard to tell looking at it, to be honest, until you get into a game like this and you realize, wow, you know, what you thought were lines that were really close together indicating a steep slope, this is not a very steep slope, right? Like, it's a moderate slope. I mean, I'm not an athletic person, but I don't even think I'd get very winded climbing this thing in real life. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so it needs to be taller, needs to be a little bit steeper. The size is pretty intense. I'm not sure if I realized that this area would be just so drastically long. Look how far this goes. It goes for forever. Blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. It's not something we'll have to keep in mind too. I think it's okay if a lot of this is a cliff. I think probably towards the edges though, we're probably gonna want to that's a lot. So I think maybe more variation in terms of like This is a pretty straight shot, right? These are fairly straight lines. Not sure how I feel about that. I think I'd like it if there was a little more movement to it. So if it was a little bit wavy, you know? And also steeper and taller, I think, are probably going to be good things here. So, okay. That tells us what we need to know. So we'll go ahead. And this is how it works, right? We do that, and then we come in here and we make the appropriate changes. So that's apparently not very steep. So I think the first thing I want to do, I know that this is kind of, I think the first thing I want to do is make it taller. So I know that we have this part all the way up here that comes all the way up to like 180. This is at 120. So we could very easily come up to like, you know, 120 or so, and it wouldn't, I don't think it'd be strange if we did that. Let's bring this up a little bit. So what we're gonna do, no one keeps doing that. We're gonna grab one of these brushes. I wonder if I think we have some cliff brushes. I don't know how well these actually work. I think actually what's better for this are what's the terraced mountains, mountain terrace. I think what we can do is we can say at or below. We're gonna bring this up to 120 because I think that I think 120 is like a good spot for this. We're just gonna raise it up little by little, and this is it's a gradual process, as you can see. Turn the intensity up a little bit, so we do want to get there sometime this century. You can see the growing area flat spot on the top. That's good. That tells us that that this thing is oops. Let's say at or above 64, so we don't drop that any lower. That's weird. Maybe we can't do that. We'll bring that up a little bit. And then we can use this flatten brush, and this will let us just drag this whole thing out, which I think will give us a steeper cliff face. Yeah, this is going to be much better. This will let us make it really steep if we want it to be. I think really steep is good. Hopefully, this will be what we want, and we can fill in the part behind, just, you know, by hand when we're done. So let's drag this out a little bit. It's the biggest brush we have too. It's kind of a gradual process. And I know also that I said that I want it to be a little bit not so flat. So what we can do is we can kind of introduce a little bit of curvature into this. Maybe something like that. Let's see. Yeah, I think this will be good. This definitely looks a lot steeper. Because this is a much higher it's a much higher height, I feel like, because we're going all the way up to 120 from 64, which is, that's almost double height. There we go. Oops. Let's bring up some area over here. Very nice. And I think I'm just going to continue doing this. Sometimes I'll rotate the brush around. But for the most part, you know, it's this is all stuff we can, you know, again, right? We get the big details done now. We fill in the finer details later. So let's fill this area in. Let's make sure it all connects up the way we think it's going to connect up. Let's see. And then we got to connect this up to the mountains. So the mountains are over here. Build in some of these cliffs over here. Alright. I think this is going to be cool when it's done. I've got some really cool ideas for this. I want there to be, you know, like waterfalls, obviously, that kind of go all the way along the edge of this. And then we'll have like I think, big lakes kind of at the top and the bottom. So we have a big lake at the top that kind of, you know, that starts the waterfalls, and a big lake at the bottom that is where the waterfalls end up. And I think that if we do that, it's gonna look pretty cool, you know. Definitely some neat height variation there. Take a look at this with the 3D view. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like cliffs. That's a lot steeper. We've got a few areas where it's not quite as steep. Oh, and it's auto-saving. But I think overall, this is going to be a good, much better height. And it's possible we could bring it up even taller if we need to. You know, I don't have any issues with that, but I think for now, you know, we'll start with this, and we'll see where it takes us. Let's see here. Wait for the autosave. Oh man, how are your guys' nights going? It's I don't know. It's Monday night, you know? I don't know. It's Monday night in September. Don't know what's really what would really be going on with people's lives. I guess probably school. That's probably a thing. Or work, depending on what, you know, where you are in your life. Possibly both, I suppose. Mostly work for me, though. It's a lot of I don't know. It's a fun job. I enjoy what I do. I'm a recruiter. So I'm hiring people, which is interesting. I do a lot of interviews on a daily basis. It's a fun job, but not something that I ever saw myself. You know, I never anticipated doing something like this. So it's a lot of aspects of it. Just I don't know. They're interesting, but it's just I am constantly in a state where I stop and take a step back, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is where I am. It's wild. I'm sure a lot of people have something similar. Okay. That seems pretty good. Maybe we'll bring out a couple of these just a little bit like this. Maybe bring out this one a little bit like this. Yep. Let's bring this part out just a little bit. So I think it's these little bits of like these little areas where it doesn't quite do what you expect it to do. I think that's what I feel like that gives this a lot of depth that it wouldn't otherwise have. Okay, I think this looks pretty good. Maybe cliff up this area a little bit. Let's get those nice sharp cliff lines. Let's do the same thing as before. We'll load in a little bit of this. We'll just take a look at it and see how we feel. Let's make sure we've selected the tiles we want to select. I think that's honestly a pretty good selection. We'll take off a few here and there, just to make it load a little bit faster. I would also like to get a little bit over here. Alright. Let's call this Cliffs 2. And a lot of this, you know, I make so many of these little worlds that honestly, they don't often end up sticking around for any long periods of time or anything like that. I end up deleting the vast majority of them, you know, because I don't need 100 tiny little maps that that'll have the same you know 300 square block area, just the different states of completion. So let's see here. Pull our little Minecraft screen down here. Okay, cool. Take this Cliffs 2, put it in our folder. Let's get it loaded up and take a look. Single player Cliffs 2. Bigger that way. Let's see what we got. Okay. Go to spectator mode. Oh, I like this. This is so much better. Oh. That is really nice. These are some high quality cliffs right here. Look at this. Yeah, this is 100% what I was looking for. This is much better. Alright. There are definitely even parts of this, though, that I'm not sure are quite steep enough. You know, I'm looking for near vertical steepness in some of these areas. Like this part right here. This is a little flat, to be honest. It's good, but it's a step in the right direction. Not as fond of this part, but there are some parts a little further along here. Hey, how's it going, Rhonda? Like here, this is really good. This is some really nice cliffage. These areas are very nearly vertical. They are not really walkable. You know, you have to climb, right? Especially this. This is a nice little formation. That's interesting. I like that a lot. It's got some curve to it. It's got some bend. You got some areas that are really, really steep and some areas that are slightly less steep. This is very good. Like this too. This looks almost like you could walk up it, but that it'd be, you know, it would be a significantly difficult process to do so. This is good. I think some of the little formations at the bottom aren't so great. This is great. I like this a lot. Very, very steep. Especially from the bottom. And the other thing we can do at some point, we can come back through here and paint these with stone and everything so that they, you know, they look a little more like cliffs. That's kind of a weird right angle. I think we need to buff that out a little bit. Make it a little bit less square. That's nice. I actually like this area. This is interesting. I like that we've got the little rocky outcropping that pokes through. This area's got some nice shape. This is a long line of cliffs too, but I think it's nice because it does a good job of separating the high parts from the low parts, you know? So this is where it starts to step up. This is going to be the beginnings of our mountain pass. And we see that this just blends all the way up to the, presumably where the mountains are, somewhere over here. Here we go. So this is where the mountains are going to start. And we'll definitely blend this a little bit more, you know, using some mountain-shaped brushes and all that stuff. But I think in terms of cliff shapes, I think this is pretty good. Take some pictures. Ignore the water. That's just where I stopped rendering parts of it in. Yeah, I like this. This is what I was going. Now the question is this height okay? I don't know that I'd be tempted to make it much taller than this. This already seems pretty tall. I think it's okay. I think maybe there's some ways that we could artificially make it seem a little bit taller if we wanted to. We could probably lower some of the land here. If we really felt it was necessary. I mean, it's possible we could make the cliffs a little bit taller than this. Don't know. This is pretty steep though. You know, I mean, trying to think of how tall the cliffs in the yeah, I think reasonably we can't make them a lot taller. Just because these areas are going to be tall, but then we want this area at the top, even though it's tall, to be surrounded by mountains that are that are even taller. You can see the back end of the cliffs over here too. This won't be here. This is all going to get filled in the same height and everything. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I actually think I might make it a little bit tall. Just because I think that if given the choice between an area that is too tall and an area that is too shallow, I would rather have it be too tall and have the mountains not be quite as tall as I thought they were, because they're larger overall. Okay, cool. So we've got the right idea. I think we just need to make the height a little bit greater. So zoom back in. So I think 120 is close to what we want, but I think we want to bring this number up to like probably at least like 140. I think that'll give me the full height that I'm looking for. It'll make these cliffs seem just really, really impassable. Because I really do want this area to feel like something where it's like, oh geez, you know, I don't even want to try to climb that. That's too tall, you know. And I think we're close, but not quite there. Hey, what's up, Blizzard? How's it going? We're just doing some Worldpainter stuff today. Nothing too crazy. We're drawing in some cliffs. I think that'll be nice. I think this whole area is gonna look really cool when we're done with it. Let's see here. Yeah, how's your day going, buddy? Hey, it's Nathan. What's up, Nathan? How you doing, buddy? Long time no see. Yeah, we're working on it's actually a Minecraft map. So here, I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see. So this is a web an application called Worldpainter, and it lets me draw terrain on like a very large scale. So right now we're creating some cliffs. You stick around for a couple minutes after I'm done drawing in some of these cliffs. We'll actually go through and I'll load this map up in Minecraft, and we'll be able to walk around it, and I'll show you around a little bit. It's kind of fun. But yeah, how have you been, man? Nice. Yeah, it's been a weird couple of years here with COVID and everything, but I don't know, for the most part things are going pretty good, I think. I don't know. To be honest, not a whole lot new, you know. It's a whole lot of the same. I try, you know. My art form is a little bit different. I think this is definitely something where I don't know if a lot of people would call this art, but hey, you know, I enjoy doing it. And that, at the end of the day, I think that's probably what matters the most. Oh. It is therapeutic, you know? It's just, you know, it makes me smile. And I think that there are so few things that are done today just because they make you smile, you know? There's a lot of, feels like there's a lot of pressure for people to do things that are, you know, that make money, or things that, you know, that forward your career, whatever it is. Sometimes it's good just to do things that make you happy, though. But yeah, the part I'm doing right now is probably not terribly interesting to watch. But what's happening, in case you can't tell, is I'm using this little brush. So you can see you can do like that. And I'm raising the terrain up. So this terrain down here is short. This stuff up here is tall. And I'm raising this part up by another couple of blocks. So this is like what they call a height map, or a relief map. And the idea being that it's just it's a visual representation of the different height of the parts of the land that it's on. So you know, each of these little, you can see these little black lines. These all represent, I think it's like increments of like 4 or 5 blocks worth of height. So as we move upwards, you can see they get more densely packed. The dark areas are steep areas, and the parts that aren't as dark are less steep, obviously. It's kind of fun. How's it going, Ruben? Nice. I like that. We're just making some cliffs. Nothing too crazy today. But they're feeling pretty good. I feel very optimistic about the way they look right now. I'll load it up in a map in a couple seconds, and you guys can see. But it's looking pretty. It's looking pretty awesome. I want there to be this like sheer line of cliffs with waterfalls that come over the edge. I think it's gonna be super neat. Let's do like this. But right now, I'm just working to try and get the height of the cliffs to be what I want them to be. Okay, this is probably enough for right now. We can fill in a little bit of this back here. This part back here is eventually all going to be lifted up to the same height. I'm really just focused on the front of it right now. Okay, so let's go through. I'm going to go and paint this with some... after it finishes saving. But we'll go ahead and paint it with some rocks so that it looks more like cliffs and less like grassy hills. We'll take a peek at it and see what we think. Oh, your cousin landed in LA? Nice. That's were they flying from where you are? Because that's quite a plane ride. You know, I've flown across the Atlantic a couple times, and I complained about that, but flying, I'm assuming you'd fly across the Pacific, and that is just, ooh, that's what is that like? Yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, those are pretty long legs. Interesting. Yeah, they do well, and they do the what do they call it? The polar arc or whatever it is, where they fly upwards and then back down into LA and everything. Yeah, 14 hours nonstop over the Pacific is freaky, because like if anything goes wrong with the plane, right, they have nowhere they can land it. But if you follow the coastline a little bit along the edge of like China and, you know, over Korea and then up through Russia, down through like Alaska and then the Pacific Northwest, a little bit, right? Then if anything goes wrong, you have airports that you can come back and land in if things get really weird. That's what I've been told anyway, is the way they do things. All right. Come on, laggy black machine. Not today. Oh my goodness. So laggy. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're gonna paint this all rocky. It's gonna look nice. Okay. Only paint the parts that we're gonna look at though. And then we'll change this to one more up here. And then we switch to this one. And this one above 40. This can give us some highlights. This is a slightly different mix of rocks. Okay, cool. We're gonna take our spawn location. Yes, that's about the same. We'll call this Cliffs 3. Let's do. We'll export this. Two places along the Pacific have closed their airspace. Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. 6 feet tall. Yeah, that's oh man. Especially, it feels like those long haul flights, you know, across the big oceans and stuff. They always have the smallest seats too. It's uncanny. I flew to Europe one time from, I think it was JFK or something like that. And it was a German airline, Lufthansa, It was, it was just. I mean, I'm not a tall person, but that was like, that was a claustrophobic flight. Let me tell you, a little bit terrifying. I catch you later, man. Good seeing you. Did you miss your bus? Oh Lord. Okay. So I'll show you this. So what we're about to see in Minecraft is exactly the same thing that I've drawn here, just, you know, like 3D and everything. All right, let me blow this up really quick so you guys can see it. Oh, online school, I gotcha. Nice. So we'll pop in here. I'll show you around. It's kind of neat. All right. First thing you do, I set noon. Okay. Let's go figure out where I put the cliffs. There they are. Look at that. Is that not like the coolest thing you've seen in like just like forever? Oh man, I love it. I am so in love with these cliffs right now. That is beautiful. That is just it's such a sheer ridge line and everything. You see the top is relatively flat, but we've got just these really beautifully sculpted cliffs. And this is gonna be like this. I mean, it's gonna be thousands of blocks long, right? This is gonna be such a wide area where this is happening. And you can see it starts to blend, right? So we're getting less of the cliff and more just sort of hillside and stuff. That's as much as I've loaded in, but you know, as we move along here, it's gonna get more and more steep. We're gonna have waterfalls that come off the edge of this, plunge down into lakes at the bottom. Really cool stuff. We'll probably build some little rocky spires that pop up, probably along the water line and stuff. That'll be cool too. But this is, I don't know, I haven't thought of a cool name for it yet, but this is gonna be the transition between two different provinces. So at the bottom we've got Invori Minor, and at the top it's Invori Major. I think this is just gonna be the coolest thing. Like, imagine for a moment, we're gonna be flying over water in a second, but imagine, if you will, you're kind of, you know, you're just out here playing Minecraft, right? Just doing your thing, and then suddenly in the distance you're like, oh, look, there's some mountains there. And then as you get closer, you're like, oh, them is that's some tall mountains. Then you get really close and you start to realize that they're not mountains, it's a cliff, and there's a flat space on top, and there's going to be stuff up there. There's going to be an entire another country sort of space up there, you know, with its own, you know, there's going to be, I don't know, like towns and cities and lakes and more mountains that are even taller than this, built up at the top of these cliffs. And that's just going to be, like, cresting this hill, this ridgeline is just going to be incredible. It's going to be really cool. But yeah, what I have to do now, the plan from here is just to spend some time and find a way to do this to the entire edge of this this little area. So before we were experimenting with the cliffs, they weren't quite as tall as this. You can see this is the height they used to be, which is still good, but I think that the tall ones over there are better. This is, you know, this is a good height. That's a better height. That's the kind of height that says, you know, that's awe-inspiring. This is like just impressive. This is an impressive height, right? You're like, wow, that's tall. That is what gets people pulling out their phones and taking pictures, right? All right, catch you later, man. That is really nice. I'm very happy with that. Yeah, incidentally, you can see here the two different block palettes I'm using for the different parts of this cliff. So I didn't paint the entire edge of this, it looks like, but on the right side, you can see that's got some darker stones. It's got like gravel and cobble, and it's got some dirt and some mossy stuff. And then on the left, you have this much brighter colored stone mix. It has clay and stone and andesite, and I think there's light gray wool in there even. And there is, which gives it just this really pale complexion, which I like, because I think that this is like nice at like low levels, but I think this is really I don't know, it says mountain. All right, cool. So we're gonna continue working on this. I think my biggest goal with a lot of this is just to make sure that a lot of this ridgeline feels somewhat impassable. I don't want any of this to feel like, oh, I could climb that, right? Except in, you know, like very specific places. So like as we get towards the center of things, so as we get over here where it starts to transition away from being cliffs and to start being kind of hills, somewhere over here, here we go. So this area, I'm okay with this being a little more, oh, I could probably climb that, right? But definitely, you know, as we go, yeah, so like here, this is okay. I think even this, though, I want this to feel, you know, like it'd be a challenge to climb. So I think that this is good. It's not quite as steep as I want it to be right now, but that's something we can work on. But yeah, all right, cool. This is looking really good. I like this. We'll continue just working on it. You know, that's the plan. So this is the area I was looking at. I was like, that's not quite as steep as I thought it would be. Let's find our. I think this is the brush we're using. We'll just kind of I mean, you can see our material choices are independent of the brush we're using. So just because we make an area steep and we put rocks on it doesn't mean that the rocks stay on the steep parts. You know, the rocks are going to follow. They're just based on the coordinates and everything. So we'll have to repaint some of this if we want it to be, you know, the same amount steep that it was before. That's okay. Let's just get this edge to be pretty crazy steep. It doesn't all have to be uniformly super steep, but we want, you know, at least parts of it to be, you know, definitely to the point where it's noticeable. So continue bringing this up all the way to 140. And what this means is that we're going to have to make the mountains on either side of it a lot taller to compensate for the fact that this area is going to be so tall. But I think honestly, you know, I think that's something that we're able to do. I think it'll be a process. It'll take some time. I think also it might be kind of nice if we had some little slot canyons. So some little areas that dig a bit deeper into here, and I'll show you how we can draw those. So you know what we could do is we could shrink this down really small, and we can actually bring parts of this way back, right? Then we bring this bigger, and we connect it up like this. Then we should be left with an area, you know, kind of behind here that's can be a bit of a canyon. I think that's gonna work the way I think it's working. I don't know. We're gonna find out, I guess. So I want to make sure that this is fairly steep. No compromises here. Let's see. That seems pretty good. I do want to try and rotate my brush every now and then, so it doesn't look too cookie cutter. I have a tendency to not pay attention to that kind of stuff, and there I end up with some parts that look very much like same. I want to try to avoid that. All right, let's do this. Oh, there we go. We got another one forming. That's going to be good. Bring this out. Rotate around. Bring this part out. Nice, nice. But yeah, I think this, these are gonna be some cool cliffs, I think. I was initially a little bit nervous because I wasn't really sure if this was gonna turn out the way I had it in my brain. You know, there's a difference between the way things look when you're trying to figure them out and the way things end up looking, you know, at the end, right, when you're done. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I think in this case though we got real lucky, and I think this is gonna turn out pretty awesome, which is good. I'm very glad about that. Let's bring this part out a little bit though, because I don't. Again, I want these cliffs to be pretty sheer. You know, nothing too flat or too gradual if we can avoid it around. You've got some other mountain range areas that are very, you know, they're a gradual slope, and I think that's good in some places, but I definitely think that you know, shouldn't be everywhere all the time, right? I think we can draw this. We start drawing this too. Yeah, that's gonna be good. All right, let's add a few little I don't know what to call them. I guess they're like little stacks. So I think that we can do like this and pull this all the way up. And I think it'll look kind of neat. Should end up looking kind of like a stalagmite, I guess. Let's see if we can take a look at that in a 3D view. Yeah, that's about what I expected. We can zoom in a little bit, connect these up. They're kind of like sea stacks, but not quite, you know? Let's see if we can. That's okay. I think probably just need to make sure that we smooth this area at the bottom out a little bit. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but it's a little weird. That's a little weird. Let's make this shorter. Sometimes you gotta experiment, sometimes it doesn't work out so well. I think it's okay if we have a little bit of water down here, because eventually we do want a lot of this to have water. So then it'll give us a good idea of what it looks like with a little bit of water down here at the base. But I won't mess with it too much. So we can bring... I don't quite know what all these look like when we bring them all the way up the height. So we're going to have to experiment with a few of them. Just see what it looks like. Sometimes it looks nice, sometimes it doesn't. That one's kind of interesting. I think we could probably put something here as well. You don't need a ton of these, you know, just a few. Make things interesting. Rotate a little bit. Get some different shapes. So I think this is a good spot. We want to switch this up for maybe something like this. And we're just going to kind of go around and do this all over the place. Just start building some shapes in here. Maybe here. There we go. We'll have to think at some point. We'll have to come through here and we'll have to look and see, oh, which parts of this do you think would be good for, for there to be, like waterfalls, stuff like that, right? I think all of this place is are potential areas where we could put waterfalls theoretically. I think it's really just going to come down to where do we want to put water. Where do we think that kind of stuff would look the best? So I'm also going to use this opportunity to bring a little bit of these in, just to make these a little bit steeper. There we go. Also good. And then let's see if we can figure out if we can get a couple of these that are kind of I wonder if we do this and we bring this all the way down and we say all the way down to 64. We'll have to see. I have no idea if this is going to look good or bad. What? It's interesting, if nothing else. Yeah, we'll see how that looks. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. But I think it's all gonna play towards having this area be really, really interesting and steep with some interesting shapes. I think that's gonna help out a lot. Let's see. I think this part could probably use another. Oops. So I don't want to go too low. Lower this down. I wonder if we can see it. Just get an idea of Okay, yeah, so it's just kind of like a reverse guess we can just kind of fill this in. Hey, what's up, Oscar? How's it going? Welcome. Just doing some Worldpainter, nothing too crazy here. Trying to draw some interesting shapes into the landscape, like this one's kind of got a oops, that's a little bit smaller. I think we can put this like right here, but we're drawing some cliffs and I'm hoping that these are going to end up being really cool, but I honestly have no idea what it's going to end up looking like at the end, so we're gonna find out. That's pretty steep. I think that's gonna be okay. That's good. Yeah, I think we got some other cool shapes. All right, let's paint this a little bit. Just because I'm curious to see what we're gonna end up with here. Wait for it to do its auto savey thing. But then we'll give it a little coat of paint and fire it up in the old Minecraft and see what we got ourselves, It'll be good to hydrate. Alright. Oh. These autosaves take so long. It's ridiculous. I mean, I understand, because this map is enormous. For reference, if I were to export this entire map instead of like just these little sections, it takes about 13 hours and the file is about 50 to 60 gigabytes. This is a big Minecraft map. Luckily, for these testing purposes, we only need to load up a few, right? A few of these at a few of these little tiles at a time. We can do little sections. So that greatly reduces the amount of hardship on my computer. But this is it's a large project for sure. Let's see here. Auto saving. There we go. All right, let's do this. We'll grab our big circle brush. Turn off this for the time being. Okay, I'm going to do everything above 64. That works. And I know that it looks like I'm undoing what I just did, but which I am technically. But I have to undo this. I have to unpaint it before I can repaint it, so that everything ends up where it's supposed to be. Otherwise, we're going to end up with weird blotches. Okay. Go ahead and repaint this. So, we're going to start with a custom layer. This is just a mix of like gravel and cobble and stuff like that. And we'll do this at or above 25. So this is just going to be, you know, just like the slopes of our hills and everything. I don't remember how much of this we're actually able to see, but we'll paint it all. I'm interested to see how this water looks at the base too. So that's not something that I really anticipated, so it'll be interesting to see how that fits together. Alright, then we're going to use our lighter stone mix. I'm going to do that above 40. You can see it's adding little highlights. And that's good, because it's going to take all the really vertical sections of this, and it's going to paint them with a lighter colored stone. And so this is a mixture of stone and andesite and some clay. And that's going to give us just a nice gradient where it goes from not steep to very steep. Yeah. I guess just for funsies, we'll do this. We'll say below 63. Oops. That way we can paint that just for fun. Okay. Go ahead, we'll load this Minecraft map. Let's select a few more tiles, just because I do want to get some of this in there. And then I want to get some more of this also. Call this Cliffs 4. Export. It'll take a few minutes to see how this goes. Let's fire up Minecraft. There's my instance of Minecraft. Pull this over to the corner for a second while we finish loading in the rest of this this map here. Propagating light, generating landscapes, exporting region 6.8 of surface. Very official. At least it doesn't take very long, you know? I'm thankful for that. Okay, cool. We got Cliffs 4. Alright, let's load this up, see what it looks like. I'm very optimistic about this one. Because last time I did really like what we had loaded up. Set to new. Spectator mode. Oh, there they are. These are some very nice cliffs. I'm very happy with the height. They're very imposing. And the nice part is that because the top of this cliff... Oh, this is cool. Oh, that is very much what I was hoping for. Yeah, we need more of that. That's super cool. So part of this was that I was wanting to make sure that we had enough space above. But the top of this is at 140, which means we still have over 100 blocks of build height. So we can build castles and stuff on top of that real easy. No troubles there. I just want to see how this interfaces with some of this. Oh, this is interesting too. This is that, I think we need to clean up the edges of this. Oh, that doesn't look so good. That looks cool though. It's a fun shape. Yeah, I like that. I think this is much better. This is a lot more steep the way I wanted it to be. That's really nice. That's some nice shapes. Let's see here. This part definitely... it's okay, actually, honestly. Not too bad. I think it'll work. Let's take a look at some more of the edges of this. Yeah, so this part is pretty good. It just needs some blending. Because that edge is like kind of ugly. But the general idea is solid. This little part over here, I can't find it anymore. But that little slot canyon, is it here? Yeah, that's kind of perfect. These are so tall too. I love that. This is actually pretty good too. I like these. Okay, some of these little pointy bits are weird, but yeah, we'll have to work on those a little bit. For the most part, they are. Pointy bits are weird, but I think the overall idea is fairly solid. Maybe not quite full height, though. I think that 140 is maybe a little bit tall for those. Let's see what else we see then. I think for the most part, this mix is pretty strong. I love these areas where it dips backwards. That is really nice. I do like that we get some little flat spots along the edge, too, with some grass. It's kind of nice. This one came out a little bit better. It's very flat on the top, but I think that's okay. I don't know if I'd like them if they were pointy. That's some pretty good shape right there. I'm gonna get some good pictures too, so I can show people what it is I've been working on and why I'm getting so excited about it. 'Cause people, I don't know if people always understand. They're like, I don't. Great, you made some cliffs, you know, but there's something to these cliffs. Actually, that looks pretty nice. I don't know how I feel about the sand, but I think that's a small detail. I think having a lake at the bottom was going to be much better. How's it going, MCX? We're making some working on some cliffs. Oh, that's nice. It's that little scoop. Overall, I think the shape is very good, though. It's got a good... It's just so tall. I love this. Look at the sheer sides of that cliff. Continues along here. It's slightly less tall, but I think it's still just as impactful. Oh, starting to slow down a little bit. So we'll get everything loaded in. Yeah, these are nice. These are nice little areas. These little cutaways. Ooh, that's a good one. Wow. I like it. That's actually really nice too. That came out beautifully. I don't even know what I did there. I'll have to look back at it. That one's nice too. This is what I was interested in though. Actually, that's not, honestly, I thought this would look a lot worse. Like, those lines are a little bit straight, but definitely something we can, definitely workable, you know? Let's see, what else we got? A lot of cliffs. A lot of cliffs. At some point, here we go. We're gonna end up with some, like, mega cliffs again. Look at that. That is some strong terrain design. So I've been working on some cliffs in Worldpainter. Actually, I can show you the cliffs in Worldpainter. Hold on one sec. I forgot that I'm sharing my whole window. So this is what we've been working on. So right now we're over here. We're like somewhere in this circle. We're just building a cliff line. We'll backfill this area back here. But now I've loaded these same cliffs into the game, and we're wandering around them. And I'm doing my normal thing of making constant commentary on, ooh, I like that, or oh, I don't like that. I think these cliffs are looking pretty good though. I feel pretty good about it. They're very vertical, and that's what I was going for. They've got some really nice. The texture is texture sort of secondary, but got good shape to them. They're a little bit messy. Nothing too ordered or anything like that. But they're just really tall. It's hard to tell because right now we're at an area of the land where it's the land is raised up a little bit. But once we get back over here. There you go, you can see where the land itself is starting to lower. Once we get over here, you can tell, I mean, look at that. That is a sheer cliff face. These cliffs are not to be messed with. Got some water, too. I'm okay with the water. I think, I don't know about the sand. The sand feels weird, but definitely... Ultimately, I'd like to have there to be big lakes at the bottom of these cliffs. I think it does look nice. I'm hoping for like waterfalls and stuff. Kind of my design plan. But we have some of these little. I love these little slot canyons like this. That is just very pretty. I mean, you can see this is you know, these are very vertical cliffs. Very, very straight up and down. But yeah, I think they're a good height too. I was messing around with the height for a while. I think ground level down here is 64, so it's right above water level. You can see our water, that's where sea naturally generates at 62. So this is at 64. And then the top of these cliffs is, I believe, 140. So it's a solid, you know, it's a solid, what is that? 75 blocks, which is nice because I feel like it's kind of a middle ground where 140 is tall because 75 blocks is a lot of height difference for, you know, 10, you know, it's a height of like, you know, 75 up and like 10 inwards or something like that. It's very steep, but at the same time, we also, you know, it's short enough that, you know, the top of this is going to be relatively flat, right? And we still have plenty of space. You know, 140, you still got 100 blocks of space. Plus they're adding more, you know, in the next patch or whatever. So, you know, 100 blocks is enough to build a castle easily. Maybe not like a castle on a mountain, but if it's already on top of a cliff, you know, do you really need to put it on top of a mountain on top of a cliff? That seems a little excessive. But I do think this area looks very nice. We've got some differing ground patterns. Not 100% sold on these little stacks. I don't like these little bits that are pointy that hang off of it. So that's something we'll kind of mess with and try and fix. This is interesting too. Ignore the water, because that's just where I didn't render it. But you can see it drags inwards a little bit. And I like this. I like that it makes this cool little canyon shape. Like, this is really cool, because I feel like you could put all sorts of neat stuff back here. But I think that this line right here, this part right here, needs a little bit more blending. It's too wiggly. But, you know, overall not terrible. Fortress in the canyon shape. Yeah, it's true. You could put like a big, you know, almost like dwarven archway right back here that leads into the heart of it and everything. And so the idea behind this is that this is, you know, I've got this cliff edge that runs clear. You know, we've got this big U-shaped mountain range. I can actually show it to you really quick. I'm actually just, you know what, I'm going to exit out of this for right now. So let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, so it's a little bit hard to see because, you know, Worldpainter and streaming and everything. But we actually have this gigantic mountain range that runs all the way here from the ocean, follows all the way up along here, circles around, and then comes back down all the way back to the ocean, right? So you've got this, you know, this little, it's really going to end up being kind of an enormous valley. You mean, each one of these squares is about 1,000 blocks. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is like a 10,000 block wide valley, right? 10,000 blocks. That's a lot. It's a huge space. But the idea is that we've got this big valley and it's going to be split up into 2 vertically separate sections, right? So this area down here at the bottom is going to be down, you know, about at sea level, right? So 64 blocks. You know, you'll have a lot of like lush tropical rainforest kind of deal, stuff like that. Big trees, you know, maybe some fog and stuff like that. Very green, lots of rivers and lakes and stuff. But then you've got this hard line of these cliffs that immediately raise the terrain up from, nope, this is an entirely separate part of the map. Those plateaus are going to be even taller. This is entirely different. This is in Vori. So you've got this cliff edge that raises you immediately from 64 blocks to 140. Goes up 75 blocks in the space of like, you know, 10 blocks backwards or something. We're gonna do it over here too, and that's gonna take you up into this kind of mountain highland area. It's probably gonna be a lot of snow up here. I'm hoping to put Big Lake up here at the top that drains down via waterfalls into Big Lake at the bottom, and then drains out, you know, as rivers to the sea and everything. Probably just river. But here we'll have lots of little rivers that come down from the mountains, drain to Big Lake. There'll be snow and pine trees, and it'll be frosty and cold. And then you drop down off the edge of this plateau into this like lush jungle. And I think that's going to be just really, really cool. The plateau is over here. So these weird shapes right here, this is not the final shape, but this is where the plateaus are going to be. These are going to be similarly tall, but they're probably going to come all the way up to like 200 blocks, straight up from like 64. Those are really just insanely steep edge peaks and everything. And these are surrounded on all edge by mountain ranges, really tall mountain ranges. So this is going to be an area that's largely inaccessible by design, right? So that's going to be cool. That's something I'll work on it a little bit more as we move forward. But I think that probably what's going to end up happening is there's going to be some crazy tunnels dug through some of these mountain ranges, even though some of these mountain ranges are going to be thousands of blocks thick. You got to get into the hidden valley somehow. Yeah, I do feel very good about these cliffs and everything. And I think it gives us 100 blocks of height to build mountains along the edges of this, and I think that's okay too. I don't think the mountains need to be insanely tall. because I think that even with a plateau that's 140 blocks up, 100 block tall, mountains are still going to look really tall on the edges. There's a sinkhole in China called the Shaozai Tiangking. I'm butchering that name. Looks like it was made in Worldpainter. Huh, I'll have to look that up. I wonder if I can go away. Let me see if I can pull up a. I'm interested now. I'm invested. Shaozai. Tiangking. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's wild. Here, let me see if I can find a good picture to pull up on that. Well, we can just... Here. Let's drag this one down here. We're at that part of the stream. The part where we do, where we do Google searches on stream. Here's like a good picture, though. That's crazy, though. Wow. That is so... Look, here's like a picture, I think, from the bottom of it. That's super cool. That is really... Here's like a... This is what the profile of it looks like. And it's a sinkhole, huh? So I'm assuming what that means is that... Because I'm not intimately familiar with how geography works, but I'm assuming it means that usually the way... From what my understanding of the way sinkholes work is you've got water at the bottom that gets carried away, you know, through tunnels or just trickles through the rock itself, and it destabilizes because it sucks the land out from underneath, and eventually everything collapses down in. That is really, really cool. God, I love that view, though. Look at that. Let's see if we can... Is it gonna let me do it? It doesn't like it. Limestone in the water is carved through. Yeah. That's cool, though. Thanks for showing us that. That is... Wish I could find, like... I mean, I get why it's, like, the same 5 pictures, because, you know, there's probably only so many pictures of it. That's crazy, though. Look how steep those walls are. Those are, you know, near vertical. You know, it makes me wonder, you know, if this whole idea for the plateau that I've been thinking about, maybe this is something, maybe that's something similar, you know, maybe, because I know that the way that it's designed is kind of like from a real world geography perspective, it doesn't make any sense, because we've got a completely enclosed valley, and generally you would expect in a completely enclosed valley for there to be maybe water that pools down here at the bottom, but certainly not plateaus in the middle, right? That we're taking some liberties with the fantasy side of this, right? But maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's like some sinkhole formations that you know, some really just gnarly cave systems underneath there that have carved their way underground, you know, out to this is like a kind of an inland sea, that have carved their way down either that way or maybe out this direction to the ocean, and just the land itself has just dropped down into these sinkholes, all except, you know, these parts that are maybe structured on top of, you know, slightly more durable rock of some sort, some inclusions. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how necessary it is for there to be good geological reasoning behind a fantasy world, but I like to keep these things in mind sometimes. I definitely know that I wanted there to be like rivers that come down from these mountains, right? That drain down here, and the idea was there's just gonna be these like kind of tunnels that kind of at the very base of these plateaus. They just drop down, and no one knows where the water goes. It just disappears into these dark tunnels, and no one's gone down there because, you know, it's a tunnel full of water, right? You don't generally kind of throw yourself in there and hope for the best. Oh, the tabletop mountains. I think I know what you're talking about. It's like Mount Roy Rama, I think, in I can't remember where it is. It's this one though, right? It's where they this, or I don't know. This might be something similar anyway. I know this is in South America, and this is part of the inspiration for that Disney movie Up. The little girl in that says she's always wanted to visit Paradise Falls. This is Paradise Falls, I think, and it's this giant waterfall that comes off the top of this huge freaking plateau, and I love it. But yeah, this is the stuff of legends. Look at that. And I know they have stuff similar to this in you know, like, I mean, even in the States and stuff. I mean, there's Table Mountain. Granted, it's not so green. I mean, you know, look at this stuff, right? I guess this is this is different. I'm thinking of something else. Maybe it's Table Rock. There's an area, I think it's in Utah or Arizona or something. It's got some really crazy flat areas. Sorvagspat. Oh, I can't even say that. Let's see. Like that. Oh, wow. Now that is weird. Stock photography. Huh. So I'm assuming that's glacial, right? That seems like it'd have to be. That's super weird. Yeah, 5 national parks in Utah. Yeah, I've taken a train through some of those areas. This is super weird too, though. There's it's like a river that's like right next to the ocean. Huh. Let's see if we can look up pictures of Utah. I think it's called Table Rock. Yeah, Table Rock Butte. Look at that. It's in different biome, right? It's deserty and stuff. But I don't know. It's stuff like this, like, it doesn't look real, you know? And I think that's what gets me about a lot of this stuff. You know, is that we create all these things, you know, in these games that we're like, oh man, this is some crazy alien geometry, you know, geography here that you know, that they'd never have anything like this in the real world. But then you come and you look at pictures of real places in this real world that we live in. Like, some of this stuff is way weirder, right? Like, look at some of this. This is crazy. And I love this because this is all part of the world we live in. I think that in many ways, you know, the world we live in is far stranger than the fictional worlds we create in a lot of ways, you know. It's all very interesting though. Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. I agree. That is that's some nutty stuff right there, that is. Wow, look at this. See, I would like to do some stuff with water. So I know that water carves intricate canyons. Look at that. That doesn't even look like a real place. Like, this looks like it looks like oh, like an amusement park or something, you know? Looks like Half-Life. Yeah. You know what it looks like to me? It's kind of like the fake habitats they build in zoos for the animals, where all the rocks are made out of like concrete that's just been painted to look like real rocks. That's what it looks like. It's just some of the shapes are too perfect, but simultaneously not perfect enough. It's Uncanny Valley, but Nature Edition. There's some gnarly things. All right. Anyway, I do want to try to get a little bit more done on this project before I get completely distracted for the evening, which is always what I end up doing. So the first thing I want to do, I don't know why it keeps doing this. Do this. Is I am going to go ahead and flatten out this area. So this is going to be a little bit boring, but it is a necessary part of the process, unfortunately. So let's fill this in all the way up to there. All right, cool. So that's all the way up to 100. Make this a big brush. Because I think that this whole area, all the way back to the back of this, is going to end up being at 140 height. This is going to be a really neat place. It's also interesting to see how these places interact with each other. Eventually, we'll end up bringing up a lot of this. You know, I mean, there'll be more terrain inside here, right? This isn't the end of things, but it is interesting to see how all this is going to fit together. This is such a large map. It's going to take us so much time to make our way through it and get it all put together. How's it going, Mad Attack? Welcome back. We've just been looking at pictures of crazy natural wonders in terms of geography on Google Images, and it's been great fun. And right now I'm just filling in these mountains in the back here, just trying to fill this whole area in all the way up to my in goal height here of 140. So you can see a lot of this mountain edge that I mean, this wasn't the mountains. This is just like showing where the mountains were going to go. But a lot of this gets interrupted by this flat 140 plateau. But that's good. Let's see here. I wish there was an easier way to do this, but and there probably is. I'll be honest, guys. I am really new to using Worldpainter. I do not do a lot of this as a general rule, so I've only really started doing a lot with this in the past couple of weeks. If any of you guys are Worldpainter geniuses, you're not allowed to laugh at me for doing dumb things, because I'm gonna end up doing a lot of dumb things. Let's see. This is kind of weird, but it's fine. It's gonna have some strange oh. I guess we need to draw in that part first before we can really... Let's get rid of some of that. Okay. We'll actually raise the back part of this up to meet up with it in a second. There we go. Oh my goodness. This is such an exciting project, though. I mean, I think this is what gets me hyped up about it, right? Is that, you know, I spend all this time doing all these little bits on stream, and all the little bits that I do off stream. And it all just comes together, you know. Every time I work on this project, I'm excited about what I'm going to get to work on next, you know? Even if, you know, like right now, right? Like, this is not particularly interesting work. But what is interesting about it is, you know, just thinking about all the different stuff that that still needs to be done, and all the cool things that we're going to get to do with it. There's so many good ideas too, you know. People are, I don't know, I think that's like one of the reasons I really like streaming, is that I get so many interesting opinions about things from people. You know, for the most part, a lot of the stuff I end up building is, you know, kind of from my own brain, which means that it's only based off of my experiences, right? I can only incorporate the experiences that I've lived. But when I do these, you know, when I do streams and when I talk with people about this stuff, you know, people have all these cool ideas and they've seen all sorts of cool things. Vulcan Point is an amazing island. Huh. Where is that? We'll have to take a look. We'll pull up the Google Images thing again. Let me just get a little bit more of this finished so I can pretend like I've done something useful this stream. Okay, that seems like a useful amount. Let's go up here. Images. All right. So tell me about Vulcan Point. Is it? It looks like a. Is it a meteor crash site? It looks like either that or a volcano. It's a little flat for a volcano. It is a volcano. Interesting. It is a very strange island. It's another one of those places that looks like just looks fake, right? Like that doesn't look like a real. Well, maybe that one does. Some of these pictures, though, they look like they look like places from, like, look at this. This looks like a map from a video game, right? It's an island in a lake. It's an island in. Oh, is there a lake on the little island? Oh wait. Hold on. We gotta. I want to know. Oh, look at that. What? Oh, jeez. Oh man, so this is in the Philippines. So we've got, you know, the I mean, I guess they're islands. They're just really, they're large. But you've got these islands, and then you've got the tall lake, and then in the tall lake you have this volcano, which is, it doesn't show it on Google Maps, but it's filled with water, and then in the middle of the water there's another little island in there. You can see that. Oh man. It's an island in a lake, in an island, in a lake on an island. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, lakes are like another one of those things that I don't know if people really appreciate. Here we go. That's all blurry though. Can you find one that's like better labeled? So we got Luzon Island, Lake Taal, Volcano Island, Vulcan Point Island, and then the main lake in the crater. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like lakes are another one of those things that are they're sort of underappreciated if you don't live near a really big lake, because I don't think people really realize how big some lakes are. Like when you think of a lake, a lot of the time people think of, they think like this, right? That's, for a lot of people, I think that's a lake, right? It's a body of water where you can see from end to end. You could probably swim across it. It would take you a while. But like some lakes, I mean, not all lakes are small. Some lakes are very large. You look at some of the Great Lakes, they're big enough that if you stand on the edge, you legitimately cannot tell that you're standing at the edge of a lake. That's how big they are. Let's see if I can find let's see here. Oops. Do it here. Here we go. This is Lake Superior. And so, like, it looks however big it looks on this map, right? But then when you really think about how big it is, like, let's zoom out and look at this, right? So this is California. This is where I live. Here's Utah and Nevada and everything. This lake is huge. Like, I mean, granted, some of it is the fact that these lakes look artificially kind of large because of the way map projections work. But still, I mean, like, let's look at New York, right? Here's the whole of Long Island. and like, you know, these lakes are bigger than the entire state of Rhode Island. I bet if we zoom across to like Europe and stuff, I mean, look at the size of this lake compared to like the United Kingdom or Ireland, Denmark, right? I think you could probably fit Denmark inside one of these lakes. It's crazy. You know, that's to say nothing of like, you know, the seas and stuff like that. You know, and then you'd look at the oceans, right? So that's the other big thing. Look how big this ocean is compared to just the landmass. You know, I mean, we talk about the fact that you know, that oceans, the Earth is 70% water or something like that. But I don't know if people really understand that 70% water means that there is, you know, more than twice as much water as there is land on the planet. I don't know. It's crazy to me. There's a river in Banff National Park that is so blue it looks like blue Gatorade. It's called Bow River. The Bow River. I've heard that about wow, look at that. That's crazy. Look at how blue that water is. I live relatively close to Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake. Yep. You genuinely can't see from one end to the other. I think it's only 70 miles across. Only 70 miles. Oh, good lord. Yeah, these let's see if we can find the Great Salt Lake. Yeah, look at this. Here. That's a really small picture. Also, why is it two different colors? Is it supposed to be like that? Is that how it works? I actually don't know. I don't know much about Utah. Here we go. Yeah, look how big this this lake is. This is enormous. Oh, I see. Some of it is shallower than other parts. Yeah, the scale of some of the natural world is just, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, you know? What's the other one I was thinking of the other day? I think this is it. Yeah, this is Lake Baikal. Baikal? I don't know. I'm not good at this. It's in Siberia though. And it is just like, it's a really big lake, but it's big in a different way than you expect. So it's I believe it's glacially dug out and everything. But in terms of surface area, you know, the surface of the water, it's mid-sized. You know, it's a good-sized lake. Let's see if we can find a picture of it on a map. Here it is. So, you know, compared to like, you know, like the Great Lakes, a little bit smaller, right? It's not, I mean, it's still, don't get me wrong, like, and this thing is huge, but, you know, it's not really disproportionately big, but it's when you take a look at the depth. Here's a good picture. So this one lake contains, I think the statistic was like 24% of all fresh water on Earth is in Lake Baikal. That is just insane. 24% is basically 1/4 of all fresh water. So all fresh water includes every single lake that you've ever seen, every single river that you've ever seen, every single puddle, right? Anything, every reservoir, anything that is not the ocean. 1/4 of all fresh water is in this lake because it's miles deep. It is like, I think it's legitimately the deepest lake in the entire world. And it's just like, it's so deep that it's like the oceans, right? You know, the oceans are really deep, and we honestly don't know what's at the bottom of a lot of the ocean because we've only explored small portions of it because there's just so much down there. Lake Baikal's the same way. I don't think they have good pictures of it, but it's just insanely just this. Okay, here. So here's a good explanation. So like Lake Superior, this is obviously, you know, these are all shrunk down and everything. The Earl Sea, yeah, I've heard about that. There was a whole thing, and they drained it for farmland and stuff, and it was so sad because the RLC used to be, I think, another one of the biggest freshwater bodies in the world, and there was so much loss of ecological diversity because of that. It's very sad. Here's a good idea. So here's the is this the Atlantic Ocean? It's the Atlantic Ocean. You got Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Lake Erie. So these are all some of the biggest lakes. And then look at Lake Baikal. Look at this. Look at this ridiculous thing. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming this is very exaggerated, just to fit it all in the same infographic. I don't think the lake's actually that small width-wise versus depth-wise, but like look at the depth of that compared to all these other lakes. It's deeper than like parts of the Atlantic Ocean and stuff. Like, these is actually some really cool maps and stuff. These are interesting. What does this say? I cannot see. It's too small. I don't know. Crazy stuff, though. Crazy stuff. Look at some of these formations, though. I love this. Where you have these rocky outcroppings and then these really smooth pebble beaches. This is the kind of thing I would like to be able to achieve. On some very vague level in Minecraft and in these worlds that I'm trying to build, is just be able to create something that looks like this. Like, how beautiful is that? And it all just comes from the way things form naturally. I mean, it's I don't know, it's very interesting. I like the way that all these things fit together. And it's interesting, I mean, I've been doing a lot of research about lakes and about mountains and stuff like that in pursuit of trying to make finish this project and everything. And it's honestly, there's a lot more to it than I ever realized before. There's I don't know, makes me interested. It makes me want to take some classes on like geography, geology, all that kind of stuff. Just, I don't know, it's real interesting stuff, and I mean, this is just me getting all sentimental and everything, but I do think that this is kind of, at least in the US, I feel like some of this is what we're missing from our education system, and this is what it could be, right? Our education system could be built in such a way that we encourage people to learn new things, not because they need to memorize stuff for a test in order to pass the test and do whatever, right? But because there's legitimately interesting stuff in the world. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff. And I feel like for a lot of people, the information isn't ever presented in a way where they understand that it's interesting. Because I think that, like this whole discussion about lakes and about stuff, all this stuff, I feel like this is all stuff that like me when I was like in, 6th, 7th grade or whatever, this is absolutely stuff I would have liked to learn. This is so cool. But, and maybe it was the case that we talked about, like Lake Baikal or the lake on the island and the lake in the island, or, any of this stuff. The Great Lakes, I know we definitely talked about those at some point. But it was never presented to me in a way that was accessible as a child, It was never something where I was like, oh, that's actually like legitimately interesting. There's some cool stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff. And I just feel like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people just don't get good opportunities to realize just how cool the world they live in is. I don't know what, I don't really know what we do about that, how if that's a problem that, anyone can really fix. It is something, I don't know. Keeps me up sometimes, makes me think, makes me wonder if there's things that I can do, in my own life to help the people around me. If there's, is there stuff that I can be doing, for myself partially, right? Is there some way that I can make sure that I'm finding these things, right? And is there, ways that I can bring this information to other people and help them find it, I think, Joseph, I think you're absolutely right, about YouTube is great for this kind of stuff. Honestly, places like definitely parts of like Reddit and even like Facebook and TikTok and stuff to a degree are good for at least getting people interested in some of this stuff. So you got all the viral little videos, like with all the clickbaity titles about like, top 10 lakes in the world. You won't believe number 9, But honestly, if it gets people excited about this stuff, more power to them. But it does make me wonder a lot, I don't currently have any children, but someday I do hope to have some, and I want to make sure that I'm able to do everything I can to introduce them to the wild and crazy and wonderful world that we live in, because I want them to have all the stuff that I didn't have growing up, right? And I don't think I don't blame my parents for any of this. I think they did absolutely the best they could with what they had. I think all of our, for the most part, all of our families do that. But when it's definitely a generational thing where, when our parents were kids, the internet wasn't nearly what it is today. And on some level, it's a lot easier for people to have access to information in today's world, 2021. All this stuff is really easy to find, and I think that it's one of the things I do like about I know people complain a lot about we all have like little cousins or little brothers and sisters who are obsessed with like tablets and YouTube, right? They just watch the weird little kid YouTube all day long. And there's a lot of people who are like, oh man, kids on YouTube, it's not right. When we were kids, we played outside, blah 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 blah. But on some level, it is nice because I feel like it at least does something to give them access to new things, to practice new stuff, learn new stuff, and to become legitimately interested and involved in the world. I think that's cool. I think those types of top 10 videos are one of the things that introduced me and drew me into the YouTube platform. Of course, now I can look back and realize they're kind of crap, but I appreciate the stepping stone. Yeah, I think that's what it is, there are some very, very phenomenal YouTube channels that are just chock full of, that have that emphasis on actual information and learning and stuff. And I think that eventually you find that kind of stuff. But I think, like you said, there's stepping stones, right? That you gotta dip a toe in before you can dive in full body and everything. This is off topic, but I highly suggest you look up at Karenye. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm no good at foreign languages. I barely speak English. Talk about reality is stranger than fiction. I'll have to look it up. Let me pull that up just so I don't forget. Is this is a space thing. I'm very on board with space things. I love space stuff. Let me tell you, space is like, oh man, if I could do content creation about anything and just automatically be good at that thing too, right? I would do space stuff all day long. Unfortunately, it's definitely one of those things that I don't really know enough about space, I don't think, to speak intelligently on the subject, so it kind of keeps me away, but it is infinitely interesting to me. I will definitely be taking a look at that later on this evening. Thank you. I do appreciate that. All right. Let's see if we can fix the edge of this, because this is kind of a mess. Remind me to show at some point a game idea you've come up with. Yeah, definitely. That sounds super interesting. I'm on board. Ooh, a little too much. Turn this down a little bit from 100. Right. So we're setting about trying to bring this whole edge up here, up to the 140 mark. I'm gonna do that. These miniature. Where's my mountains too? Here it is. This is the one we were using before. Why does that seem like it's... Oh, because we're using flat. Not use flat. Let's use... pull it upwards. Astrophagy sounds like a spacey name. It is. It's an old word that I learned a long time ago in some physics textbook I had to read for an astronomy class. It's an old word they use to describe black holes. There's some translation where it means like it's star eater, right? And that's what they thought. They, old timey physicists, astronomers and stuff back in the day. They had this vague idea that there was something out there that would swallow up stars, but they weren't really sure exactly, what any of it really meant. And so this term astrophagy came up, that which consumes stars. I always thought that was it's very poetic, It was it was, for a while it was very I'm 13 and this is deep kind of moment, But I think it ended up being kind of a lifelong passion of mine. It's a game in the same genre as Minecraft, but much more focused on creative. I'm on board with that. It's already my favorite part of Minecraft is the creative part. When I look up astrophagy, all I get is your YouTube channel. It's a very, very obscure textbook from I don't know, some very long time ago. And the only place I've ever seen it show up was in that one class I took. But I swear to God, I still have a copy of the textbook somewhere. I can't remember what it was called. Got it on a bookshelf somewhere. I'll have to dig it up. But I don't know. The word stuck with me. It is kind of nice though, because it works well as like a channel name and kind of a branding thing. Because you're right. When you search it on Google, pretty much the only thing that shows up is my YouTube channel and other associated content. Mostly just the various accounts I have on, all the different platforms. Sort of unintentional, but, I'll take it, right? But yeah, it's not a very common word. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of everyone's username has some sort of story behind it, Sometimes it's simple stuff. When I was a youngster, the cool thing to do when I was a kid was there are two cool games. There was RuneScape, and before that there was Neopets. I don't know if any of you have ever played Neopets. It's a sickeningly simple game. I love it. But that was my jam back in the early 2000s, late 90s. And so I wanted to name my name in real life is Evan, Evan, right? And I wanted to pick a name for my Neopets account that was based on my real name. But Evan, obviously, right, is a somewhat common word. It's a common name anyway. And so that was already taken, so I couldn't use Evan. But Neopets, like all different these online games, had here are some suggested names that are similar to the one you wanted. And one of those was Knave34, which is just Evan backwards with the number 34. And I don't know what it was, but I grew so attached to that for a long time. All of my online presence, I was Knave34. So it's just, I don't know. I think that, they all have stories behind them, good or bad. I think it's interesting because I think it tells us a lot about the way our own minds work. On some levels, with the way we choose these names that describe, for some intents and purposes, who we are in this digital world. It's cool, and some people's stories are very very basic. It's like, my name is No Scope Gamers 69420 because I thought it'd be a funny meme name. And honestly, I mean, that's as much a reason as anyone. It doesn't have to be deep. It doesn't have to be, super meaningful or have a strong emotional attachment. Every name has a story. And I think it's on some level, for those of us who spend a lot of time on the internet, at some point, it starts becoming a little bit of who you are. And I think you reach a point where it's hard to tell where Evan begins and where Knave 34 ends. I know that especially with astrophagy and stuff, that's kind of the name that a lot of people have come to know me by online. And there are people, that I talk to that I've met in real life, in person, after playing video games with them for many years, who just, they can't call me Evan because that's not who I am to them. That's not the person that they've been playing games with for 5 years. They've been playing video games with astrophagy, and it's Astro is usually what it is. I don't know. It's interesting, It's like nicknames, right? I mean, nicknames have always been kind of a common occurrence, and across cultures and across the world, and on some level, right? If your name, and this is just an example, but if your name is Thomas, but for a lot of your life, people call you Tom, your friends, family, and everything. At some point, people calling you Thomas it just feels a little bit weird, because for all intents and purposes, to the people that in your life that it really matters a lot to, your name isn't Thomas, your name is Tom, and I think that sort of stuff is important. It's interesting too, one of my favorite things is to hear from people about where does your username come from, what's the story behind it. It's a good icebreaker. Oh my goodness. I do apologize a little bit. I kind of assumed when I started, I kind of started this stream, I don't know. I was gonna work on this stuff anyway, and I thought maybe I'll just turn it into a stream. I kind of assumed it would be a little more interesting than this. They're slightly more action-packed, so I do apologize that the brunt of this stream has literally been me pressing and holding my left mouse button. That's the primary content of this stream so far, and I hope it's somewhat interesting. I don't know. So is it pronounced Chrysalis? Cryogen, yeah. That's super cool. I am a big fan of Terraria. I have not played. That's I think Cryogen comes from the. Is it a separate mod or is it Calamity? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I have not played Calamity. I have always wanted to play Calamity, but I have not gotten around to it. I'm very excited though. I wanna. Okay, so just full confession time here. I have not gotten to play Terraria since the big update. I think it was 1.4 or whatever, where they changed everything. So at some point I'm gonna do that because I'm very excited about it. Because I kept reading. I was keeping up to date with it, and I was reading about all the new things that they were adding, and as people were discovering them. But I have not played Calamity, and I have not played the new Terraria. I have not played Terraria in a while. Minecraft kind of took over my life during the pandemic, and I have not been able to go back yet. Mods are still on 3.5. I'm sure eventually they'll get all updated and everything, but if I were to make a username after a Calamity boss, it would be Yaharan? Yaran? I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a good name, though. I like that. Sounds like, I don't know. Sounds kind of like a pretentious guy who like is like really into wine, and he wants you to know that he drinks a lot of fancy wine. He does CrossFit. He's a vegan. Yaharan. No, that's probably just me projecting, to be honest. But Yaran is a dragon. If you ever get a chance to play Terraria again, stream it. Yeah, definitely. I'd like to. I've got some. Why is this not working? Oh, huh. There we go. Ooh, that's not right. At or below 240, I think. But yeah, no, I'd love to do a Terraria run on stream. It's funny because I've always been like, it takes me forever to get through the storyline of a lot of these games because I get so caught up in the building parts. Like with Terraria, I did a playthrough a long time ago with a good friend of mine, and this was like not for streams or anything. This was just for fun, right? And immediately I started building our stupidly large and not at all reasonably sized starter base, and I spent months of real world time working on this base. And he's like, dude, you understand that like I'm out here like adventuring and exploring and like fighting bosses and stuff, and you have literally spent like 90% of the time we've spent playing this game like just taking the blocks that I bring back from adventuring and building this base that's way too big. It's got all these rooms that we're never going to use for anything because, you know, it's a game where you really only need so much space for stuff. And then I'm like, I don't know, I like building stuff. That's look, I mean, look what I'm doing right now, right? It's just who I am. If I do play Calamity, add another mod called Calamity Vanities, you know, Creative 8A. See, that's what I'm excited about. That's honestly was one of the biggest things. To one of the other big things that I was excited about is I liked the. I was always a big fan of Terraria of automating farms. I just thought found that very entertaining. It was I don't know, it made me happy to automate some of these systems. And I was very excited because I know that in the like 1.4 update and everything, they added like some cool tools for that sort of stuff. Things like I know they added I think they added conveyor belts or something like that. There's just a bunch of stuff, and I was very excited about it. Anyway, all right, let's paint these cliffs over here, and then we will probably we'll take a look at them, and then I think we'll probably wrap things up because I don't want to spend too long on this, because I know as much as I'd like to, because I do love doing this, but what I know about myself is that if I spend too long working on any one project in a single sitting, it makes me kind of hate the project a little bit. If I spend too long, I get bored with it. And so in an attempt to combat my own fickle tendencies, I have to limit the amount of time I spend on these projects before I get up and walk around and, you know, use the facilities, get some food and some water and pet the dog, all that stuff. I'm very much one of the kinds of people who would get very lost in this kind of thing if I let myself, and then I go full force for you know, for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and then I crash really hard, and then I just hate the game and I don't play it for years. I don't want that to happen with this. The Google image breaks, yeah. So usually, you know, when I'm not doing world edit stuff, when I'm actually building in game, it's always like the tour breaks. So I'm like, oh hey, you want to see what I've been working on so far? Here, let's go wander around the map and look at stuff, and not accomplish anything. Part of that is because I do enjoy being easily distracted. It's a hobby of mine, but some of it's for my own sanity as well. All right, cool. Let's load this up and see what we got. So let's just do that. I think we could just kind of grab that. Hopefully that's not too many tiles. 770 is kind of a lot, but it's fine. All right, cool. That's gonna take a couple minutes. Let's see. Do you guys oh, what was there was another it's another geography thing I wanted to show you on the Google Images. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was called. It was a mountain, really cool mountain. It is completely gone from my brain now. Well, at some point I will hopefully remember it. But yeah, I guess this is probably a good spot for me to do the shameless self-promotion part of my stream. If you are not already a part of the Discord and you would like to be a part of the Discord, we have a Discord that you can join. It's a lot of fun. Let me find the link. And I'll put this in the chats and everything. But it is a good time. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. See here. Put that there. And I'll also put it in the other one. Just so that I don't forget to do this later. But yeah, if you are interested, you know, no pressure or anything. But it's a good way. It's a good way to get updates on what's going on with the project and with me, catch the streams. Also, it gives me a good opportunity to post pictures of mountains and stuff and be like, hey, remember that stream I did where we talked about mountains? You should come look at these other pictures of mountains, not on stream. That sort of stuff. But all right, cool. Cliffs is done. Let's drag this folder over into here. Okay. We should be able to just make this big. Maybe. There we go. Single player, Cliffs 5. All right. Let's see what we have created. I'm always a little bit nervous, you know, like that I'll get into this and immediately be like, wow, that's terrible. That's the last time I did it so much better. But I feel confident this time to figure out where it is. All right. So this is like some of the lower cliffs. These are not as tall. And that's okay. But as we go this direction, they should get taller. Even this, I like the sprinkling of rocks down there. I don't know if to work some more on that, I think, but there we go. This is some. I like this a lot. Kind of almost feels like you could put some water in there or something. These are some very satisfying cliff shapes, though. Look at that. Pleased. That's a little weird. Probably have to get rid of that. This is good. This is some nice, and you know, a lot of this I think will be some messing around with it, fine tuning. Like, probably ultimately what I'd want to do here is just get rid of this rock right here and just have this be another little slot canyon. This is nice. This steps up pretty evenly. That's kind of neat. It's the same thing over there. Maybe it's a little bit same. I'm gonna mess with it a little bit and try and fix the shape a little bit. This is cool. I like this back here. That's really neat. So I feel like this could be a good place for waterfalls or something. Although maybe it's better to have the waterfalls on, you know, these very visible cliff faces in the front. This is good. It's got some good shape to it. I like these little bits that stick out at the bottom too. It's kind of nice. That actually looks really nice. I like this little pinnacle of rock that pokes out. That's pretty good as well. Again, probably have to knock some of this extra rock out just to make it a little bit smooth. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm okay with this. A little bit strange, but you know, again, you know, some of the strange stuff is, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, you know. I mean, sometimes strange is good, you know. It gives us a weird place to start working, and I think that sometimes, you know, sometimes there's some really nice creativity that comes out of working with the constraints of like weirdly bad terrain starting out with. That's nice. I like when we have some flat areas that get some grass. This is pretty good as well. We should be getting to the part where it starts to blend with the mountain. Yep. That's actually pretty nice. I like that. I can see some good potential for water to come down there. This, you can see some of the weird rock stuff where I should have cleaned it up, but I didn't. But yeah, that blends with the actual mountain right here in the front, which we will probably take some time and eventually and flatten that part out as well. Or just, I don't know, do something with it to make it more interesting. So right now it's a little bit flat. Alright guys, I think that's probably about where we're going to call it for today though. But yeah, thanks for swinging by and saying hello and everything, and watching me do Worldpainter and listening to me rant about how great geography is and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. And we did get a sizable portion of the map done today. All this stuff is new right here, so I'll take that as a win. I'm gonna pretend like I accomplished a lot. I had a lot of fun doing it, and, you know, as long as they had fun doing it, right? That's half the battle. Yeah, thanks for coming by, guys. I appreciate it. I really do. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Well, you know, it's probably gonna be some more building, probably on the community server on Wednesday, or possibly just some more Worldpainter on Wednesday. I'm not sure. It's gonna depend on how I'm feeling and what there is going on. Actually, Wednesday will probably be on the community server, thinking about it. We recently had an election and we've got a new mayor, so that's very exciting. So congratulations are in order. So we'll have to do something for that. Maybe we'll have some sort of little coronation ceremony or something cute. Yeah, guys, I'll catch you later. Have a great evening and a great night, and I'll catch you in the next one. Great chatting with you guys. See ya.